In today's video, we're going to dive deep into 7 trends that are coming in the real estate world that could drastically change the future for everybody. If you've never met me before, how am I qualified to speak on this topic? Well, I happen to be a globally recognized person in the real estate space. I am a global ambassador for Mr. Ryan Serhant himself, one of out of 7 globally of over 20,000 people, which is super random because I am located in southwestern Ontario, Canada. I own a company called Prime Real Estate with my incredible wife, who is really the brains behind everything. She is Ivy educated, absolute wizard when it comes to business operations. My background was marketing and advertising and being very tactical at generating a boatload of interest in products, properties, rebranding businesses, but doing it at almost no budget. And I did it through content creation. So on this channel, I show you how we built that company. We also opened up a production company based off that. So I shot thousands of videos on my iPhone, again, converted real business with them. So we teach you how to do that here. But I opened up a production company because I realized my best use of time was strategy and the actual content creation. I hired people smarter than me to shoot and edit the videos. And I show you the hacks that they're using today, the apps, and I give you insights so that you can do it on your own without having to spend thousands of dollars on the actual shooters, because I truly don't think you need to in today's day and age. Fun little behind the scenes fact before I get into these 7 trends in real estate. I had somebody come up to me this week and say, "Hey, Justin, I want to batch shoot some really high quality reels." And I'm like, "Okay, why?" And he's like, "Well, because I think it's going to make a difference in my business." I'm like, "Okay, you're going to spend like 800 to 2,000 bucks a month on that. Like, do you have that in the budget?" And he's like, "Well, no, don't necessarily have that much going on right now that it makes sense to do that." I'm okay. Here's an application that you can use to basically shoot the videos and splice them up. Here's an application that will show you how to basically use AI to trim out the ums and ahs and throw captions over it. Oh, and by the way, here is AI that can give you 100 topics to go through. I would say go shoot 80% of your content on your own. And if you still want to do a professionally shot like batch shoot, do that, but do it like once a quarter and get really good at the small stuff. So if you want access to the applications that I sent him that are going to save him that time and almost be a professional editor for like 15 bucks a month, make sure to go to justinconoco.com/resources. That is the page where I share all those insights. Just fill this out. You'll get access to all my PDFs, and then I'll be dropping those apps in the newsletter this week. So let's get right into the actual trends. So the first trend that I'm going to talk about when it comes to real estate of the future, smart home technologies and integrations. So I said we have a real estate brokerage that does a lot of sales, right? We do residential commercial investing. On the new development side, when we're doing a new home, quite often when it is in the building stage, we're having a conversation around smart home automation because the drywall isn't up and you're at the point where you can actually plan, what does life in this house look like? Where people make a huge mistake is they want to automate their house, but then they finish their build and then they try and do it. Well, running wiring, cabling, and doing everything in your home after it is framed can be a little bit more of a challenge. So let's just talk. You have a blank slate. Let's all picture you are building the house of your dreams. I'm going to ask you a question and I want you to answer it in the comments. What does that house look like? Like, do you care about coming home at night from work and having the lighting system kind of just automated? Or are you okay just running around turning on all the light switches? When you wake up in the morning and you have a beautiful sunrise and you have curtains everywhere, are you looking for a system that will allow you to come downstairs and automatically raise all those blinds? When you are going to the fridge and you're going to try and get some milk and you realize you're out of milk, what does that look like in terms of you actually putting it on a grocery list, going to the grocery store, getting that milk, and then bringing it back home? Like, think of all of the time savings in each one of those things. Now, think if you had automations in place to help you with all of those, because they do exist. On top of that, add one more layer: safety and security. I would say the number one trend that we are seeing when it comes to home automations is people wanting to find more ways to make their homes safe and secure, have monitoring that is all integrated on one device. The biggest piece of advice I can give you if you're building a home or you have an existing home that you're looking to add automations to is don't just run to Best Buy and start buying things and bolting them onto your home. Maybe you buy a Nest camera, maybe you buy an Apple HomePod, you buy an Alexa. All of a sudden, you have 3 different ecosystems that don't necessarily work with each other. So the biggest trend that I'm seeing in home automations is people are typically thinking about the ecosystem first. right? The components of the ecosystem are always very similar. And here are some of the things you should think about. Audio, right? People like listening to audio apps like Clubhouse, and maybe they want to stream it on Bluetooth speakers. And instead of carrying a speaker around with them, where they want to have speakers integrated in their house, they want some sort of voice controlled device in their house. Again, if you're using the Apple ecosystem, that would be Siri or the HomePod. And people are going to use these automations to say, hey, add reminder, live stream every Friday morning at 7 to 7:30 a.m. in my calendar. That voice dictation actually will go to my calendar and then add that as a repeating task, saving me from having to put it in my calendar every week. The grocery store hack is unbelievable. There are literally smart fridges these days that will know when you need things and then actually order it online for you. Another hack for that is voice control will allow you to do that as well. So maybe you don't want to go as far as having your fridge order your groceries for you. That is okay. But I would recommend you start thinking about the time savings of ordering things using automations and applications like your digital assistant on your phone. And hack that's kind of off topic is everybody gets confused with like all the things they have to do in a day, and they don't know how to remember all the things they have to do. It just takes up mental space in their brain. Use your voice application on your phones as your digital assistant. Here's the hack I actually use. If I'm running around in the day and I need to say, hey, add reminder, call Ramon Ray at 2 p.m., I'll add it to my phone. Maybe I'm not actually calling him at 2 p.m. Maybe I'm just adding a reminder to myself to call him. But at the end of the day, when I do what I call a mind sweep, which I talk about on this channel, what I'll do is I'll pull up my reminders, and all my overdue reminders are now a list that I can just put somewhere. And I can say, you know what, here's all the things that I need to remember to do. It doesn't take that mental energy for me to always try and remember it. So use technology as leverage. What I would advise you to stay away from is using technology as a crutch. So a lot of times people use technology because they think it's going to make their life easier, yet they become dependent on it. I want you to shift your thinking. I want you to think of, if something takes me 20 clicks, how do I make it 2? I want you to think of buying your time back using technology and tools. Now, another thing that I'll share is I would advise you to talk to somebody in your area that specializes in this area. It doesn't mean you have to actually use them and spend thousands of dollars having them come in and do all this for you. A lot of people will give you the general advice, and you can find a lot of information online and do it yourself. That said, if you think it's expensive to use a professional, you should see how expensive it is to use an amateur. I will gladly pay somebody to come in and show me what we need to do integration wise, and then typically go out and source the materials. Why? Because their cost savings on finding the right equipment versus me going to Best Buy and just buying random stuff is massive. How do I know that? Because I did the opposite. I bought random stuff that I didn't need. And I had a guy in my office last week. I was shooting the Prime People podcast with 360 digital. They do all kinds of integrations. They do system security. And I was literally looking for a data storage solution for our media company. And I probably would have spent $7,000 on it. And then I realized his retail cost is like 1/5 of that because I didn't need what I thought I needed. I talked to an actual pro. So I would say go out and find somebody in your area. That said, actually, the security component of technology is very important to me. I would say that podcast that I shot with him, it drops, I believe, in 2 weeks. If you actually want to hear a professional talk about phishing, getting all those links on your phone, not getting, your account stolen, go to the Prime People podcast on Apple, just subscribe, and then look for an episode with Jonathan Pizanik. It is very insightful. He goes very in depth onto how you could protect your devices and your home from all of the data mining that is going on in the world, which is absolutely wild these days. The last piece on smart automation and home technologies is definitely energy efficiency. Now, a real estate super tip for you all: don't go and buy a new furnace because you have an old furnace. A lot of times people think I just need to buy an energy efficient furnace and that's going to, all of a sudden change my bills and what I'm paying the man. The reality of it is I've done thousands of inspections. The inspectors will quite often say older furnaces work better than newer ones in many cases. And the cost savings to go with a whole brand new furnace that might cost you $4, $5, $6, $7,000, depending on where you are or the size of the house, the cost savings likely will not be offset by the cost of the furnace. Now, when you do have the opportunity to put in a new furnace, upgrade your windows, do some insulation, The first thing that I would do is see if there's any programs or rebates to help you do that. Almost every municipality, province in Ontario, I'm not sure about the states, but if you're looking for information in the states, DM me. I have agents everywhere. There's likely thousands of dollars that they will give you to go in and improve the energy efficiency of your home. So there's some cost saving tips for you on a Friday. The second tip that I'm going to give you, or the second trend that I want to talk about, is the virtual and augmented reality home tours. So if anybody likes looking at real estate, put a 1 in the comments. I would love to know. I know I look at MLS and places I'm probably never going to buy, which is hilarious because I'm in the business and all I do is look at residential, commercial, and investment property. But it's something people enjoy, right? People like looking at houses. And I think when the pandemic hit, a lot of people definitely had to start looking virtually, right? A lot of people had to stay at home. What does that look like? Now, when virtual tours came out, initially it was wild, the technology that was happening. I talk about buying tech to save me time. I bought a Matterport camera, which is essentially an infrared camera that we would walk through room to room, scan the room, create a 3D model. Very cumbersome. Took a lot of time to do it in every house, but was a massive cost and time saving for me because I was literally flying people around doing virtual tours. You know what? I'll do a quick virtual tour for you guys right now, just for fun. I am pretty when I do these segments, I click on a lot of screens and I show you guys a lot of things on my segments. So if you're on the Clubhouse, click at the link at the top of the room. I guess I'll walk you through this from an audio perspective, but here is Google Earth. This is literally where I start my virtual showings. I'm not even in Matterport. I'm not even looking at a 3D model of a house. But why, Justin? Why are you showing me Google Earth? Well, I'm going to show you Grand Bend, Ontario. Here is a market that I cover. So we're in southwestern Ontario, Canada. This is Lake Huron, a beautiful lake. What? You guys have beaches in Canada? I can't believe it. Yes, we have beautiful sandy beaches. Now, when I'm showing people virtual tours like this, what I'm typically doing is I'm zooming in and I'm showing them the area. This is actually a property I sold to one of my clients. It's a tear down, but look at the size of this lot. When I purchased this property with my client, the more reason we did is all these people's lot lines are right here. And also, when we realized the size of the lot through the virtual tour, what you can build is dependent on your lot size. So typically it's about 25% of your lot size, given setbacks and whatever. I won't get into the details, but we realized that he could potentially build a 3-unit condo where this little old rickety house was. They tore it down yesterday. So going through this virtual tour, we found an opportunity we may not have if we were just looking at photos on MLS. Fun little fact, they also bought these 2 properties. They took this one, tore it down, built 3 properties. That one I just sold. This one's for sale. And then these 2 are going to be sold as well. So we identified a pocket of opportunity through a virtual tour. What I'm also able to do, because the coastline in Grand Bend is so important, is go up and down the coastline and see how deep the beach is. The hack for Lake Huron real estate is understanding that the water levels shift every 7 years. You can spend $3 million on a property all of a sudden with a beautiful beach here that, water levels are low right now. And then in 5 years, you have no beach and the waves are crashing right up on your deck. Probably wouldn't be happy with that if we didn't explain that to you in a virtual tour. So there's a little snapshot of how you can use virtual tours effectively. Also, here's an app, Cubicasa. I'm giving this away to you guys for free. If you want to make a floor plan of your house because you want to just change your furniture, you want to do some renovations, download this app. I think the scan or the floor plan is going to cost you 10 or 15 bucks. The Matterport camera cost me $7,000, and the fee for my scans to host them was $283 a month. Look at how technology is changing things. Now I can do floor plans for 15 to 30 bucks whenever I need one, and I can give it to my clients and they can do it just as fast. So think about how fast technology is moving and how efficient that makes your life. I wonder how many people are going to download this app and scan their house. It's wild. You load up the app, and all you do is it turns the camera on and there's this red grid and you just walk around your house and you scan your floor. And it uses LiDAR, which is on most people's iPhones or Androids or whatever. It's pretty standard these days. And then it outputs a floor plan within 6 to 10 hours for you. Absolutely wild technology. And it is making things faster and more efficient. You can actually pay for an upgrade as well too and do like a full 3D model of your house and do virtual staging, which is crazy if you want to see what your house looks like with different furniture. Third trend that's coming, urbanization and micro living. So if we talk about downtown cores, and I'm going to go to Kelowna, BC, actually, and share something with you guys. Millennium Kelowna. Millennium was okay. Millennium Development. So I'm going to share something, and I'm going to obviously do it on audio if you're not watching the stream. Here is a example of a new generation developer. Why do I know about this project? I actually had him come down and discuss this project live at one of my prime masterminds. We did a forensic analysis of how they did the land acquisition, why he built it, and he was creating basically micro units. So he went to Kelowna, BC, a place that is ultra dynamic, has mountains, beaches, very dynamic community, and wanted to target building a condominium complex where you could buy a unit for $275,000 to $350,000. What? That price in BC? But Justin, we have a housing crisis and there's no affordability. People like him are absolute mavericks in terms of creating product that are going to change the dynamic of what the future of real estate looks like, because he identified that people that are coming up aren't going to be in a place where they can afford a house that the average price point is $1 million. We'll talk about affordability in a second, but the future of urbanization and micro living are people making more efficient spaces. I am already seeing that trend in a day-to-day real estate perspective. People selling these massive houses that they bought over the years. Sometimes they raised a family, the kids are gone, and they are right sizing. People are often buying those properties, sometimes dual family situations, and moving into communities that they're going to be in for the next 20 to 30 years. But we are definitely seeing a right sizing of projects. We have multiple new development projects coming that we consult on, and we're talking about the size and the square footage of the unit. There's also a really good book if you are looking to build any business called Blue Ocean Shift, and they do a case study of Hotel M. If you've never heard Hotel M, they are world class. And what they did was they looked at 5-star hotels and said, we want to create a 5-star experience at a 3-star price point. But how do we do that? And they looked at what people actually cared about when they traveled. And what people actually care about isn't talking to a concierge when they get there and having a whole in-depth conversation. Like, they just want their key and they want to go to their room. So they took out the concierge and they automated the key drop-off process. You show up, put in your number, you get your key. Then you go to your room and everybody thinks, oh, we need grand sweeping rooms and we need all these features and benefits. Not really. They want really good soundproofing because they want to rest when they get there. They don't even really care about the size of the room. They want a really, really nice bathroom, and they don't want to pay for Wi-Fi. They just want to log in, do what they need to do and have a good workspace that's comfortable. And more than anything, they want amenities they can actually use, like not a closet with a barbell that somebody calls a gym, but something that replaces their lifestyle at home. So what people are doing in the real estate space are the same thing. They are doing smaller square foot projects because the dollar per square foot just has to work for the economics of development to make sense. But at the same time, looking at the actual consumer. So this is a great opportunity for all of you to get involved and give your opinion of what you think matters. Cost efficiency is a big thing as well too. The material costs are out of control. So what I told you about creating efficiency around smart home automation, virtual tours, builders are doing the same thing in their space, and they're looking at ways of shaving the margins so that they can still produce and provide more affordable product, because we all need it. The next trend is remote work and work from home. This has been a huge topic in the real estate space. Fun fact, I started in commercial real estate and everybody was just, getting so negative on commercial office. Literally deals were dying because just the sentiment was nobody's ever going to go back to work. All these office buildings are going to sit empty. They're going to get turned into residential towers, maybe in major market centers that don't create an experience around the major market center that makes people want to go to work. But we've noticed a big trend in an adaptation back to hybrid. People like people. People in collaboration are much more efficient than people at home walking by their laundry, realizing that, oh, I got to do the laundry. Meanwhile, they're trying to do their job. And it's just, the efficiency isn't the same as when a lot of people are at work together. Now, I want to put a big asterisk on that. For people that find their work existence miserable, like they're just punching a clock and they just work for somebody they hate, they don't like the people that they work with, and there's no reason for them to be there, those people probably aren't going to go back to work. But we are noticing a big shift in the collaboration space with a lot of the commercial real estate brokers I network with across the globe, where the owners of companies are putting a ton of work into making those ecosystems fun. Case in point, at Prime, we do trainings in depth twice a week on getting tactical. We have friendly competitions. We go over the leaderboard. We talk about the marketplace, and the in-person creates energy and deals. We do all aspects of real estate. We residential, commercial, investment, agriculture, land development, recreational properties. And when I get my recreational property specialist with my commercial guy and my land development, my agriculture guy, everybody knows everybody twice removed. And the guy that just moved and bought a luxury home, or the person that just bought their first home in London, maybe needs a job or they want to open a business. So they create collaboration. So the workplace of the future, I think, is not going to be 7 days a week. You have to punch in a clock and you have to be there and you have task managers reaching over you. It's going to be collaborative ecosystems and workspaces that add value. Now, the work from home, that's where people are planning to have a workspace in their home. So think about this. If you're buying a house, instead of maybe doing a 3-bedroom, 4 bedrooms are insanely popular right now. Basement offices or gyms work as well too. I'm in a basement office / gym right now, but I can also tell you that there's something to be said for having an office on the second level with light outside, or adding an accessory dwelling unit in your backyard, or barn dominium that flexes as a workspace away from your living space. Super hack for you guys as well. Make sure that you separate your work from your personal life. Don't have business conversations at the dinner table. Don't do business conversations upstairs in your bedroom. Make sure that you keep certain places sacred and create spaces in your house so that that energy stays in that place and you're not dragging it into all aspects of your life, because I'm sure all of you can relate to what that may feel like. Now, the number 5 trend is affordable home solutions. These are coming faster than you could possibly imagine. I just showed you the Millennium one, but there's many more affordable home solutions that are coming down the pipeline. Here's a great example of one that actually deals with the homelessness issue that we have in St. Thomas, and this is tiny homes. So this was done by Doug Terry and YMCA or YWCA. I shot a podcast with them where they took an area that is close to where there's a lot of issues in, say, the St. Thomas area, identifying that we need to do more than just put people in a building. They're creating entire communities. They're using smaller footprint homes, but they're making them very affordable, and they're making them in a community where everybody's going to have a purpose. So it's a fully integrated community where people will actually know each other and support each other. And the tiny homes project is one I definitely have you look at if you're looking at where you're going to find solutions for affordable living. You're also seeing things like 3D printed homes coming down the pipeline. I did a full podcast with Christina Smallhorn on the Prime channel talking about that. She has some major concerns about the materials they're using because they haven't been tested, but we talk in depth about prefab homes. Fun fact, first home I ever sold is a prefab home, and prefab homes are built in a factory, quite often in a climate controlled area, and then put together on site. People think they're lower quality. In often cases, they're actually better quality than these stick built homes. So I think manufacturers and builders are going to be looking for more efficiency to create affordability. I'll tell you my honest opinion when it comes to the affordability of housing. The best way to make it affordable is going to be making the entire development process more efficient. 33% of every new home in Ontario is taxes and development charges. And I would love to see the net effective number of you bring in $100 of income after your taxes that you get taxed to do that. And then after the taxes on your purchase, what is your actual power of your net effective dollar? And I would also like a forensic analysis of where all my tax dollars are going, because I bet you if I saw that net effective number, it would be shocking to people to see if we took that out of the affordability calculation, how much that would change the price of homes. So I think just education is going to be the answer for affordability as well too. And the very last trend I want to go over is the evolution of retail spaces. So Cadillac Fairview is a really cool case study of a mall. It's in our location. Cadillac Fairview is across the country. You go to their website, the very first thing you see is they're running yoga classes. And then if you actually go down to see who is in their building, and they've made massive pivots, you see the Apple Store, you see the Sunglasses Hut, you see Rec Room, and you see Sephora and Nike. I'll use those examples. How does each one of those logos make you feel? Like, you could go to the Apple Store online, but I'm going to ask you, do you think it's a different experience going to the Apple Store in person? Because when I go in there, I don't know what their secret is, but they have this constant stream of people. It's loud, it's noisy. People are learning, people are buying stuff. They've created an entire experience when you go to the Apple Store. And when we buy our products, that's where I typically go, even though I could just make a phone call, because there's a time savings to be there and learn and do everything in one place. Like, it actually saves me time, which is crazy because we live in a world that's conditioned us that we need to be online. Now, if I think of the rec room, this is a restaurant, games room. If I think of Nike, kind of the same thing. Like I could buy clothes online if I want to, but when I go to the Nike store, the people that work there make it an experience. The greeting is absolutely amazing. When you try on a pair of shoes, like they will help you find stuff. They'll ask you, are you running? Are you jogging? Are you hiking? And I think that's the retail of the future is if you are going to create an experience, it's going to be worthwhile to have a retail location. It will actually be the storefront for you. Look at Sephora. I don't buy makeup, but when my wife goes there and brings my daughter, it is an experience, let me tell you. And I think one of the funnest things about retail of the future is I think it should be encouraging to anybody who is running a business of thinking about your own customer experience. I talked about how I dropped a video yesterday on how I think Clubhouse made a massive mistake because they changed the user experience. I have to do 5 clicks to find a room on Clubhouse now. When I go into a business, what is my experience like? And if you don't offer an experience, you're going to get automated. We know what's happening with Amazon. We know what's happening with industrial and warehousing and everything else, but we're at a tipping point, people. And I think it's okay to have companies that obviously all they care about is, well, I don't necessarily think it's okay, but they care about profits, right? And they'll ship a $4 item to you in an Amazon box that's this big with this much packaging. I don't know how the gas, the employment, I don't know, understand how the math makes sense, probably just volume. But I also think it's encouraging because people are going back to being more human. And that's the point of this entire video. When I talk about the 7 trends of real estate, every trend that I talked about allows you to become more human because it automates or buys back your time in other places. And it allows you to think more about your community. So I challenge you to do the exact same thing. Go through these 7 trends, see if there's anything that you can integrate in your life that will save you money or time. If you want to connect with me directly, just jump in the comments. You can come and find me on Instagram. And if you want to learn more, as I mentioned earlier, go to justinconoco.com/resources. I'll share that app when I drop my roll up, maybe tomorrow or next week. If you're looking to create content and use AI to replace a $2,000 a month video editor, I'll drop that in the chat for you guys. Just join the mailing list and I'll drop that next week. Hope you enjoyed this segment and I will